Well, good morning. I'm Reverend Millie Phillips, your guest preacher today. I am an affiliated community minister with San Francisco UU and work as a faith outreach organizer for an economic justice nonprofit. I use she, her pronouns. Welcome to this service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Palo Alto. As Unitarian Universalists, we gather, our different paths entwined, to deepen our spiritual lives, nourishing connection, learning from each other, caring for each other, and tending to our world. I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. We gather on unceded, stolen land of the Tamian and Ramaytush peoples. We acknowledge these communities in the interest of truth and justice, awareness and gratitude, in order to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. We pledge to join the Tamian and Ramaytush people whenever they ask us for solidarity. Now for some general announcements. COVID cases are surging again. Masks are not required, but are strongly encouraged. So let's express our mutual respect by supporting each other's decisions about masking, distancing, and other health measures. If you're here in person and you have questions about Unitarian Universalism or this congregation, stop by the welcome table with the blue tablecloth and chat with a friendly member of the church's membership team. Also, I'd like to call attention to the upcoming events listed in your order of service. Please review them at your own leisure. But in particular, I'd like to note the following. There will be a forum at 8:30 in the morning before next Sunday's service, an all-church picnic at Mitchell Park on Sunday, August 25th, starting at 11:30 a.m., and a celebration of the life of Dick Clark on Sunday, September 1st at 2 p.m. And now let's settle into our service with some beautiful music.
Outside, the wars are raging, danger everywhere. All the little ones are crying, and the older ones are scared. Oh, I know there's something brighter than these bombs on the TV screen. There's a house where we take shelter in our hearts and in our dreams. And in this house, there is comfort for the weary. In this house, the hungry are fed. In this house, we forgive and are forgiven. In this house, there is peace, there is mercy, there is peace. For the outlaws locked in prisons, heroes in the fields, what is lost and what is given, when the strong shall learn to yield, and the morning stars are rising, and the angel band appears like a house where we take shelter from our loneliness and fear. And in this house, day is dawning, flower from the seed. Oh, I hear the voices call me to a new humanity, and I know that I will follow, and I know that I will lead. And in this house there is comfort for the weary. In this house the hungry are fed. In this house I forgive and I'm forgiven. And in this house there is peace, there is mercy. Have mercy on me. There is peace.
Thank you for that lovely prelude, Ruth. We now do our chalice lighting. We light this chalice, a symbol of our faith, as a reminder of the sacred light we each carry, and as a beacon of love to all within and beyond this time and space. For our centering words today, please turn to number 444 in your gray hymnal for the responsive reading, "This House." I will read the text in regular print, and please respond by reading the italicized lines. Let me turn to it myself. Okay, thank you. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendships, a haven in trouble, an open room for the encouragement or struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice, for declaring, both in times of security and danger, the full and undivided conflict of opinion. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiworks. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress. This house is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavors. And now, thank you. And as we follow the sound of the bell into silence, we allow ourselves to arrive here fully. And now let's welcome Reverend Kat Boyle for our story for all ages.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to invite anyone who is young or young at heart to join Eloise up at the colorful quilt. Today we are going to talk about origin stories, about how our home became our home on this planet Earth. Now, some of you may know the origin story from the Judeo-Christian tradition. Does anybody know what story that is? The very first story. It's the story of Adam and Eve. So that's the story about the first humans. This story is about the first humans from the Noah tradition. It shows how we should treat our home, whether that be in our church or beyond. So Here it starts, many, many, many years ago. So many that no one can count them. Our grandfathers and grandmothers, all dressed in white with their hair tied back, landed on the beaches in Panula, the place of crossing. The grandparents continued on their ways, always guided by wise ones, and they arrived soon in a place that they liked very, very much. And they named this place Tamoduan, which meant we are looking for home. Now this place, let me tell you about it. There was warm breezes, golden sun, tropical birds, green fishes, winds whispering through the trees, dreamy sunrise and sunset. It looked like a travel advertisement. But this lovely place was full of the eternal youth of all natural things. There, the gods had brought the precious bones from the earth and put them on the soil so that they could ground them into flour in order to fashion humanity with love and hope. Now, the wise ones read from their books and they taught the grandmas and the grandfathers and the grandparents. And from this book, they heard the words of the supreme God, the dual force that created himself. And one day that God told them, it's time to leave, to set off on a journey once more, taking that black and red ink of the sacred books. But not everybody departed. Only the wisest sage, only the wisest of the wisest would travel to the east on a new journey to the place of origin, while the other grandmothers and grandfathers and grandparents were all properly instructed to remain there. Now, among them were the first two humans ever, the ancestors of us all, who held hands and exclaimed, there will be light. It will be dawn again. But how will people live? How will they establish themselves? In what direction shall they walk? What goals should they pursue? What, beloved gods, shall be their measuring stick? And at that exact moment, there was a great noise. A deafening noise echoed all around them, and the most beautiful tree had split in two. Its branches were torn, and bloodied flowers flowed all around it. Most of the flowers, which turned anyone who touched them into a faithful lover, now laid scattered on the ground, bloodied. Now the two humans, they looked at this broken tree and then at each other. And one said, this place is now a place of detachment. The wise ones departed, they took their books, but they left us love, blood, and memory. And then the other, in his florid tongue, said, what place could we go that suffering does not exist? Not forever here on earth. We must focus on this moment now. One human took one immaculate flower, a bloom that did not bleed from the tree, and breathed in its delicate aroma. And she spoke words of encouragement. And this is what she said. Cheer up, my heart. Listen to the songs of the birds and wonder at the beauty of a flower. Only in you will it not cease. Only within you will they forever not wilt. Only within you will this holy place endure forever. Thank you for listening to my story. Please rise now in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 1 in the gray hymnal. May nothing evil ever cross this door.
So now let's take a few moments of silent prayer or meditation to hold all that we have heard with compassion and care. Blessed be. Let's share our recommitment and affirmation language. I believe the words will be on your screen. And I will read the parts and then you will follow with the all part. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Inseparable from one another, these shared values are independence. We honor the independent web of all existence. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Justice. We work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. May our commitment to these values fill our lives with love. Now I'm going to introduce the next hymn. This is a hymn that I'm just learning. It's a little bit complicated. Really glad that Ruth can play it. I chose it for the words. You may not be familiar with it. I wasn't either. It's called Let This Be a House of Peace. It's number 1054 in the Teal hymnal. And Ruth will kindly play the melody once through so you get a feeling for what it sounds like. And I will make an honest effort to sing along, even though I'm still learning it myself.
Hop right into the first verse. So I will not play the introduction twice. I'll only play the introduction at the beginning.
much for taking that experiment with us. For our reading today, I'd like to share this poem, When My Daughter Writes the Poem of This Day. It's by Jennifer Fitzgerald, a mother facing housing insecurity during the pandemic. I will be distant, in black and mourning. I will be leaning into the open window as I drive us up and over, hauling only what we could carry through 3 boroughs. I tell myself she will remember nothing. I want her to forget, as though I could shield her from failures I call attempts. These formative failures I swore to never. Forgive me. Not all scenes can be painted in favorable light. She sees the view from back seat, clenched jaw, my rising tide. Forgive me. For some of us, grief is unshakable anger. It takes up residence within us. For we well-practiced few, anger throws us into the dust of the new. Forgive me. I have dragged my child into my childhood, where I was more wildflower than girl, cast to soil by wind, rootless yet never free, incapable, me again, here, now. Somehow, not just me. Forgive me. I burned through all the saints and call on any deity that will have me. Let her painlessly unsee all but my hair-catching wind as a bright but tenable flame. Let her remember me only as the woman who carried water up the hill for everyone to finally drink. There's no place like home. What Dorothy meant when she says those words in The Wizard of Oz is that home is the place we most want to be, the place where we are loved and taken care of, where we belong, a place of security and connection which we, as Dorothy learned, should never take for granted. The place, as Robert Frost said, where they have to take you in, and to which we always long to return. Of course, home is not such a place if you are subjected to domestic violence or child abuse in it, but the word generally has very positive connotations. Consider sayings like, home is where the heart is, or these popular song lyrics from my youth, take me home country roads to the place I belong. Home is where my love lies waiting. Or our house is a very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy because of you. Home is where we can love. Home is also where we can be safe and secure. As we were reminded in our opening hymn, it can be a structure that keeps the rain and wind out, where we have a fighting chance of preventing outside evil from crossing the threshold. In our responsive reading, a house is haven in trouble and a cradle for our dreams. And home can be any place longed for by involuntary exiles and other oppressed peoples. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child a long ways from home. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat down, and there we wept when we remembered Zion. In traditional Christian theology, our true home is heaven, welcomed into a direct eternal relationship with God. Life is just passing through this world of woe, so we can go home at last. Though home may not always refer to a physical structure, creating what feels like a sanctuary from hardship and danger usually does rely on access to actual buildings. Many of you may have studied in school Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If not, Maslow was a 20th century psychologist who created a model of mental health, typically represented by a pyramid chart, which that posits one must meet certain needs before fulfilling others. Physiological survival needs are at the foundation, then aspects of good health, safety, and economic access, followed by love and belonging, which in turn give us the basis for self-esteem, and then at the peak, self-actualization. It's not a perfect model, nor should it be considered as entirely sequential. In fact, in our society, where all human needs are commodities rather than universal rights, one usually has to achieve the second and third tiers to get or maintain access to the survival needs at the bottom. Yet, it still makes a valid point. We can't live more than a few days without meeting our basic needs for adequate air, water, food, and shelter. If these are lacking or at risk, every ounce of our immediate attention requires getting or protecting them. Without a roof over our head, what do we have? How do we store food? How do we practice healthy hygiene? Can we find a secure place to keep necessary possessions from being stolen or destroyed? Do we risk sleeping at night rather than during the day in a public space? Do we have a legally recognized address required for most benefits, especially to get a job? How do we access electricity, showers, flush toilets? How do we prevent succumbing to mental and physical illness in the face of such horrendous stress? Being unhoused is an ever-growing feature of our society, and sad to say, seniors are the most rapidly growing sector of the unhoused. At almost 70, it is no exaggeration to believe I literally could not survive a week on the street. Homelessness is a practical and moral disaster, and I know you agree because this congregation has worked hard to address the issue. We can talk all we want about a lack of this or that housing program, or a budget cut, or a zoning law being a contributing factor. But the real reason we have homelessness is because we live in an economic and political system that does not treat basic survival needs as human rights. The mindset supporting that decision is so ingrained that it is hard to imagine it could ever be different. In our society, we have a very minimal commitment to equality and almost none to the more radical concept of equity. By equality, we usually mean that people should get the same rights and resources initially, but we rarely even do that. Consider this illustration. 3 children are attempting to see over a solid fence to watch a baseball game. Each is standing on an equal-sized box. One child is tall and now can see the game easily. The next is shorter and stands on tiptoes, straining to watch. The third is too short to see at all, despite their box. To change this image of equality to equity is very simple. Just give them boxes of unequal height so all 3 can see. Or better yet, stop hiding the ballpark. Equity is about distributing resources to achieve an equality of results, such as everyone having a place to call home. Now, why would anyone oppose that? Well, one answer to that question is easy enough. It's been drilled into us since birth that life is a game, not a sublime opportunity, however brief, to experience consciousness, creativity, and connection. The goal of this game is to die very old with more power and wealth than anyone else. To the extent we partially achieve that goal, we are deemed to have the same degree of merit. But even minor winners, like the taller child, shouldn't assume they can't lose. Last month, I met with a colleague who recently moved back to the Bay Area to take care of her elderly parents. She has a PhD and a Doctor of Divinity and has held high-profile positions with international NGOs. She just found a part-time job, But without a second one, she remains couch surfing, unable to afford a market rate apartment. Another colleague's life was upended recently when she lost her rented home of many years to an owner move-in eviction. She and her wife were forced by the higher cost of current rent to downsize to something barely adequate. Do they lack merit? In keeping with such ridiculous assumptions about merit, the prevailing view of the unhoused is a mixture of pity and revulsion. If you don't have a home or are struggling to keep one, oh, well, that's sad. But losers don't really deserve homes anyway, so why should you be guaranteed one? On top of that, we have been taught to see entire groups of people, races, genders, most immigrants, to be innately undeserving, no matter how hard they compete. Now, we can reject such irrational cruelty, and should, but we still have almost no power as individuals to change it. Turning commodities into human rights requires revolutionary degrees of transformation. But let us not succumb to despair. The risks of giving up are just too great. If humanity is going to survive the 21st century, facing the apocalypse of climate change and rising threats of fascism and nuclear war, it will take all of us doing our own small part, not as deluded would-be saviors, but as relatively anonymous members of a massive team effort. So do you have a home, a physical sanctuary that you love? Then imagine a now houseless and starving Palestinian family trying to escape from Gaza, or that person sleeping on the sidewalk you must step around on your walk to the coffee shop. Don't they deserve a sanctuary too? Core to my beliefs is that we are all, at least metaphorically, created in the image of the divine. As such, we deserve to have our survival needs met. In fact, everyone should receive the spiritual and material means necessary not just to survive, but to live fulfilling lives and have the power to choose lives we truly love. Shelter is one of our basic human needs. Home is where our children can study and play, where we can continue to age with dignity and respect, where we can rest after a hard day's work, where we can take off our masks, where peace walks softly through rooms, where we are free to express grief and rage and to fly our flags freely. It is a place where our music's playing and there are pets in the yard. It's that place far away that the radio reminds us of as we drive down a country road or an urban freeway. May we do everything in our collective power to build a new way where everyone has a safe, secure, and attractive place to call home, and to preserve life on this beautiful planet, greater home to us all. There is no place like home. Thank you. Let's start with the offering. We create this space together, not just out of wood and glass, nor even out of electricity and binary signals, but out of our presence. Wherever we are today, we have chosen to be together, hoping that together we can do so much more to make our lives into all that we dream of and make our world into the one we hope to see. If we are moved by gratitude to each other, we may choose to support, with whatever financial resources we can, this community that we are creating and that is creating us. You can use cash or check or the QR code or text information in the order of service. The offering will now be given and received.
just after walking a labyrinth. Sacred space all around me, sacred space, sacred time, every moment, sacred time. Sky above, earth below me, sacred sign. I'm breathing deep, walking slowly, it's a dance divine. Safe and protected, I go step by step. I'll reach the center, but I don't know when, don't know yet. And it's a map of the journey, a symbol of the quest. It's the soul's destination, where east meets the west. It's the spark of creation and a mirror for your life. It's a pattern of wholeness in this time of great strife. Oh, let go of strife, let go of striving. Sacred space all around me, sacred time, every moment, sky above and earth below me, it's a sacred sign. I'm breathing deep and walking slowly, it's a dance divine. Moving together and apart, I rest in stillness with an open mind and heart, open heart. And it's the seed of the sunflower, the spiral of the snail. There's a golden proportion in each curve of this trail. It's the mystery of dreaming and the power of grace. It's the wisdom encoded in this whole human race. Oh, listen to the wisdom. Oh, listen to the wisdom. Sacred space all around me, sacred space, sacred time, every moment, sky above and earth below me, sacred, breathing deep and walking slowly, it's a dance divine, it's a dance divine. It's a dance divine. Thank you for the whoop.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. And now please join in singing our final hymn, Building a New Way, number 1017 in the Teal hymnal. The words are on screen and in the online order of service.
We
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
So I wrote this a long time ago, and what I remember about writing it was that sometime when I was originally singing it, a great wind came up. So it's in the song. Imagine it's me, imagine it's you. Put yourself in those worn out shoes. Imagine you're sick, imagine you're tired. You got no job, you can't get hired. Imagine your life took a one-way turn and all your bridges have just been burned. Imagine you tried, imagine you failed. Now you're lucky to spend a night in jail. You're homeless, flat out on the street again, homeless. Nothing left to eat again, homeless at the mercy of the wind. Flat out on the street again, you're homeless at the mercy of the wind. Imagine you're a teenager runaway, or a lonely woman the world betrayed. Imagine you just got used to the shock of seeing your heart on the auction block. Imagine the doors have all slammed shut. You've lost the key to open up. No place to run, no place to hide. There's nothing to seek and nothing to find. You're homeless, flat out on the street again, homeless. Nothing left to eat again, homeless at the mercy of the wind. Flat out on the street again, you're homeless at the mercy of the wind. Now imagine it's me, imagine it's you. Imagine there's something we could do. Imagine there's enough to share. Imagine it's safe for us to care. Imagine it's me, imagine it's you. There's something we can do. Imagine there's enough to share. It's safe to care about the homeless. Imagine we could care about the homeless. If we could only care about the homeless, we'd bring everybody home. Every one of us is homeless till we bring everybody home. Everybody. Every one of us is homeless till we bring everybody home. Thank you. Thank you.
That was so beautiful and fit the service so well. Thank you. Whether online or here in the main hall, please stay after the benediction for our conversation time. We begin with greeting time, a chance to speak to someone you haven't met before or haven't seen in a while. Now, if you're online, please unmute yourself, turn on your video, and touch hands virtually like this while we say our benediction together. And if you're here in person, reach out and hold hands if you and the person next to you are comfortable with that, to show that you are connected in spirit. Cross your hands over your heart. Go out into the world in peace, be of good courage, hold fast to what is good, return no one evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, rejoice in beauty, speak love with word and deed, honor all beings. Amen.